Those in favour? Against? Carried. We then move into a public art regional work programme. I want to try and at least get the next two before lunch. So if we could come through with Emily.
Emily and Graham.
Yeah, and Graham. Tēnā kōrua. I will, well, if anybody want to move this, I've got no problems moving it before it gets. Councillor Casey, second by Councillor Bartley. So it's been put on the table for discussion. And Graham, if you could introduce yourselves, that'll be great. Thank you.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Graham Bogdan Takaringo, General Manager Arts Community and Events. Really nice to be here. I acknowledge your worship, councillors and IMSB members. So it's a real honour, actually. It's great to be able to be here and present the Public Art Regional Work Programme for your consideration and approval. My colleague Emily, I'll get Emily to introduce herself, and she'll speak to the report and take any questions. Kia ora.
Emily.
Kia ora koutou, ko Emily Trent Takuingoa. I'm the Acting Manager of Arts and Culture, and thank you for your time today. And I'd like to acknowledge the members, Chair, Deputy Chair, Director of CCS, and the Mayor. So today we'll be bringing forward the 2021 Public Art Regional Work Programme for approval. Of note, this program is a continuation of the pre-approved program from last year and responds to the implications of the emergency budget, most notably a reduction in our capital budget from $3.28 million to $1 million. The mix of projects that you'll see within this program have been prioritized carefully. Firstly, we've looked at continuing on with contractually committed projects that will wrap up within this financial year. So there are a few of those, and we think it's important to see those through to completion this year. And then following that, we've also prioritized those public art projects that are part of a wider parent project, or where the artwork is part of an infrastructure project or an integral part of a project already in train. You'll note that no new CapEx projects will be onboarded in 2021. This is due to the financial constraints mentioned previously, but we would hope to be able to scope those for our next work program, and would come back to you for approval then. We're hoping to move towards a 3-year work program in the future, and look forward to bringing that update for approval at that time. Just noting the timing, we're coming in October, as we've heard from some previous speakers, due to the emergency budget, and we've been working through the financial implications for the program, so normally we would be coming earlier with this program. Just a couple more items to highlight. We have just gone live with the Auckland Public Art website, which is mentioned in point 13. So this is an online platform that celebrates our existing collection and also offers Aucklanders access and visibility of these assets. So that went live in conjunction with Art Week just on the 10th. So that's part of what we'll be continuing to grow within our OPEX envelope for this coming year. I'd also just like to call your attention to a notation around the Monuments Workstream. So this is a work stream that we have commenced following the passing of a resolution by the Waitemata Local Board to investigate reciting, removal, or reinterpretation options for monuments within their local board region. We note that this is a significant and complex issue that has policy implications and is also of regional and potentially national significance. So we're moving quite carefully here, and we have convened a cross-council working group with members of Heritage, Māori Outcomes, and Public Art to begin this. We're also closely engaged with engagement with Mana Whenua is of key importance here, and we'll be working with the Kaitiaki Forum as well as commencing hui with Mana Whenua as we move through this. We would like to propose that we come back to this committee at the beginning of next year in a workshop format to provide you an update around these monuments, recognizing that this is a governance issue. The second quick note to bring forward is around the The budget split essentially. So I mentioned earlier that we have a prioritization given to those projects that are part of a parent project, as well as those that are going to wrap up this year. So between those two budget categories, you'll see 83% of our budget is placed there. So we think this is a really a wise prioritization of the limited spend that we have this year. So the main points I'd like to cover, and I welcome any questions. Kia ora.
Ka pai. Emily, and thank you so much. I'll open up for questions of His Worship the Mayor first, and then Councillor Darby.
Yeah, thanks, Graham and Emily. My question's about the work stream for the monuments. About 2 years ago, there was a controversy over the Nixon Memorial in Otahuhu, and we brought together the local iwi, the descendants of Colonel Nixon, and the descendants of the Maori people who died at the pā down, I think, in the South Waikato. I just wondered, we had agreement between all the parties, but we still haven't got the alternative interpretation of what happened down there that we wanted to put alongside the Nixon memorial. Can you give us an update on where we've got to on that, and when we might finally see, the wider context put on site there, because I think that was important.
Kia ora. Thank you for the question. Through the chair, we're working closely with the Office of Treaty Settlements on that project, and we've just been learning about what happened for that as a potential model for how we might move forward. I know that it's been very complex, and it's involved conversations with a number of different parties with interests, and I don't know of the exact progress that we've gotten to on that project, but we can find out and come back.
It'd be really helpful if you can just bring me an update, because I thought it was a good way of dealing with a controversial issue, and we managed to get consensus from both sides of a pretty painful event, 150 years ago, and it would be good to actually establish that as a way of getting through that and making sure that we don't just have a colonial interpretation of that battle, but the wider interpretation and a contemporary interpretation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Darby.
Thank you. 69% slashing is pretty aggressive. Not much left when you get rid of 69% of your budget. So thank you for managing on your very thin allocation. I'm sure you're not managing. Just can you give me an idea, maybe it's for you, Graham, the public art team now that was delivering the former budget, how many people different is it, or is it the same? How many were in the team? So we're talking human resources on our side that were part of the team, and how many are there now?
Kia ora, Councillor Darby, through the chair. When COVID struck and we looked at all of our contingent workforce, so we in the public art team had 4 contractors who were providing quite a significant part of the work, and the reason we had a mixture of permanent staff and contractors was to manage the ebbs and flows of the work program. It gave some flexibility, so we've released all of those contingent staff, and we have no intention of bringing them back on board unless there's any particular special requirement that we have around particular expertise. So that leaves us with Emily and 4 permanent project managers who are managing the work program, plus a couple of others. Have I got that right?
Thank you. So the impact really was to release our contractors who provided a really valuable service to the team, but we've managed to retain our permanent staff.
But there's a vacancy in the overall manager where you're acting at the moment, is that what I heard?
Correct. So I'm acting as the manager of arts and culture, and currently the manager of public art position is vacant, and that's being looked after by a couple of my colleagues.
Okay, so we haven't lost the core, the foundation of the unit, so that we can rebuild when budgets become available.
We haven't lost the core of the unit. We've retained all of the...
And 2 project questions. The Greer Twists,
Yes.
Where's that up to? And also the Molly McAllister Warrior, probably one of the best contemporary art sculptures we've got. Where's that up to?
Sure. So the Greer Twist work is due to be, the reciting will be finished this year. I can get back to you with the exact month later. And Molly McAllister is in conversation around a reciting with the overall streetscape work that's going on. So the reciting and the placement of that is in discussion with us, but I'll need to find out more about when that's going back in.
It's in the vicinity where it was, or is it somewhere else?
It's in the vicinity, it's planned to go in the vicinity of where it was, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
There's now two more people who have put their hands up. So Matua Kake and then Councillor Coon. Yeah, no, I saw you. Yeah. Please, peripheral.
Right, just in the context, just to show I've got a balanced scorecard, I just want to acknowledge that the effort in this particular item to create Māori budget, to create a plan that's really inclusive of Māori and engagement with Māori. So, and my question is do you agree?
Agree with engagement with Māori, and absolutely, yes.
It's just turning a comment into a question, that's all, but because it's question time. But just to acknowledge that I think it's said with sincerity, because I'm always quick to criticise when it's not. All right?
Oh, kia ora, thank you.
Councillor Coon.
Thank you, Matua, tēnā koroa. Thank you for alerting me to the new website. It looks amazing, and just been learning things just from a quick look. Just sort of trying to draw back on some local board knowledge. Panuku had quite a significant budget for some major pieces in Wynyard Quarter, and so I just wondered, I presume that still sits in their own work program, and I don't know if they still have the budget, but if presuming it's those projects are still progressing, do they end up becoming part of our public art collection, and do they does that all get added to the website as well? Because they were quite significant pieces that they were arranging.
Yes. Thank you for your question. The Wynyard Quarter works have been paused by Panuku after the emergency budget, after COVID, and there were also some complexities that were being worked through with the selection process in Mana Whenua for that particular work. In terms of whether or not a work becomes part of the collection at the end, that's something that's taken on a case-by-case basis. And in terms of upload to the website, we aspire to have the entire collection on there. And then a later aspiration would be to have works that aren't part of the Auckland Council collection but are visible to the wider public on there as well. Yeah. Kia ora.
Thank you. And so it's paused those projects rather than at this stage, so they could still come online at some point.
Panuku has formally paused the project.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Collins, online.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks to the officers. I'm just wondering, having read this paper and granted the challenges that you're facing with such a serious decrease in budget, if you get the sense that we've got a genuinely regional approach, excuse me, to public artwork. It just, from my read, and I may have missed parts, but there seems to be a strong central Auckland / North Shore, North Auckland feel about the work.
Kia ora, thank you for the question. So absolutely, a regional focus is very important for public art, and we also do know our collection is over-invested in the central city, and part of what we look towards as we consider new commissions is that regional focus. A work that we will have coming online over the next couple of years is a work, for example, in Warkworth. So as we begin scoping out what's possible for FY22 and beyond, we certainly aspire a broader spread, and that's important in when we assess works and look at the viability of what we can do. Yeah. Kia ora.
It's okay with you, Councillor Collins?
Oh, yeah, thanks, Chair.
Okay, and there's no questions, any comments? No comments before I put the recommendation. Emily, can you please thank our,
Yes,
our public art team, and I just wanted to mention their names for those that are around here. So it's Hilary Coots is the chair, Samuel Holloway, Tyrone O'Hare, Kate Darrow, Rachel DeLambert, Douglas Lloyd Jenkins, Rosabelle Tan. So look, that's our Pacific Art Advisory Panel, Public Art Advisory Panel. So please pass on our thanks to them and also the team. So I'm going to put the recommendation that's been moved by Councillor Collins and seconded by Councillor Bartley. All those in favour? Aye. Against?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you so much to you both. Look, I'm going to ask, because we have the chair of ACABS, Mr. Taylor, here, and I don't really want them to wait after lunch to have it. Lunch has just been delivered. It takes about 10 minutes to prep, because we've got no, I better not, because people are online. I was going to tell them we got chicken and steak, but we haven't. So look, if our team, and it's item 13, Auckland Citizens